Hello, and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm Matt.
and this is up for discussion. Today, we're going to be discussing no less,
Stranger Things, episode 3.
and this episode is called Holly Jolly. Yeah, Holly Jolly, which I guess is named after the kid, see, at least that's a decent title. At least it's relevant to something as opposed to. I'm telling you, we must have missed something in the second episode.
Probably.
Yeah, so anyway, this episode started with my good friend's favourite character, Barbara, waking up, throwing up, like, scuzz really. It wasn't water, it was like weird juice stuff. So she woke up in what I'm convinced to be, like, the swimming pool, but it wasn't
Yeah.
that swimming pool, it was like an empty one with all the kind of smelly alien stuff in the bottom of it, which was kind
Yeah.
of.
So, I mean, I suppose it was quite scary how they framed it, but is she in another dimension? Is there another pool somewhere else? What's going on?
Um, I think I'd put it down to like another dimension. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it it's kind of she was mullered by the swimming pool, and then she's waking up in like a swimming pool, but there's no water in the swimming pool. It's kind of like a parallel universe, I guess.
Makes
So,
sense. I suppose that would explain where.
so she's occupying the same space, but it's a little. It's like two different. It's like AM and FM radio, you know what I mean? So real life's in AM and she's been like taken to FM, so you know what I mean. But it's not like completely, because do you know you get some things, do you know, like Ghost, where you kind of like where you're kind of there and you can see all the people doing their stuff and you're trying to talk to them, and it's like you're like hey hey like that, and then like the other person's just looking straight through you.
Yeah,
It
that's what ghosts do all the time.
Yeah,
Hey, hey.
it's kind of like that, but it's not because of all the scuzzy stuff in the pool. So it's not like she's like interacting with other characters. Because I mean, if you go further down the line and you look to Will when he's giving the message to his mum, and she's like, "Where are you?" and he's like, "Right here." So you can imagine him to be her looking at a wall like melting and stuff. You can imagine him being right there, but like, yo mum, and it just being like, I don't know you're there, mate. So one of them ones, but it's kind of weird because of all that black scuzzy stuff. You got to think that it's kind of not really, because there's not any other people there. If she woke up in the swimming pool, climbed up out the swimming pool, and like Nancy was there, like talking to Steve or whatever, then you'd be like, okay. But there wasn't any of that, so it's kind of messed. It's not clear where she is. You got to imagine she's kind of, yeah, in another parallel dimension, but doesn't occupy the same space. So, I mean, I thought the episode was pretty good. I mean, it looked more into Eleven's story. You had her, as opposed to, it kind of explained her being dragged off. So, I mean, they experiment on her. They must have been doing experimenting with her powers, and then like if she doesn't play ball, then they just dump her in that room, and it kind of upsets her, I guess. So she rebelled and like snapped necks and blasted people. I thought that was pretty decent.
It was, but is doing that actually giving them what they wanted, really? Because he seemed to be quite, like, please not be the wrong word, but satisfied that she's been able to do something maybe that he really wanted her to do anyway.
Well, I think originally he wanted her to kill the cat or do
Right.
something with the cat, and she was like, no, no. And I think it's like, alright, she won't do it to a cat, but she'll do it to a human. So
Mm.
it depends on that, because I think Dustin, he was jokes when they were packing for their little adventure, and he's got the knife, and Lucas has got the knife, the slingshot, and the binoculars, and then Dustin just pulls out Pierre snacks. That was pretty funny. So I mean, he raised a good point as well. Like, was she born with her powers, or did she like acquire them? I mean, that's an interesting question.
Right, and that was a cool scene as well with trying to get her to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's my boy. He's the best.
Nah, I'll tell you who the star of this episode was, and
Well,
it was the dog. When she was hanging all the lights and the dog was just looking at her from the chair like, what is she doing?
right, because the mum must seem proper mental, even though we know what she's doing.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
must seem absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it must be like a stress on the other kid, do you know, the weird kid, who's a
Mm.
moron. I mean, he develops the pictures, I mean, you can't really explain them ones, can you? And like, she sees him and then he just takes them and runs off. It's like, you burn them as quick as possible, mate. You'd be like, she's seeing things.
No, he's
So,
not even a covert perv, is he? You know, he's just right out in the open with his stupidity. Although we did, is Steve the boyfriend? Is that his name?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did see the first, because up until now, of the two boys, you know, he's got that mate. Of the two of them, his mate was always more of the douchey one.
Yeah.
But then in this episode, he went proper mental on the weird kid.
What
Although
was,
maybe justified.
what was smashing his camera? That upset
Yeah.
you?
No, it
Uh,
upset me, but it was a change in his character. He's normally the more level-headed out of the two of them.
it's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like Flash Thompson, Peter Parker, and like Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man, where Flash is like, "Oh, Pete, you crease," and she's like, "Oh, don't treat him like that." But I think she's kind of, I think they'll have some sort of run-ins anyway because with the picture, she picked up the picture of Barb and then dipped off with it. So I think she's kind of, I think they'll end up like hanging out and that and be like, yo, well, I mean, they'll have to ask questions, but he's coming off real weird. He's not helping himself at all. He's just
No,
doing.
he's not.
Not that I'm saying I'm a professional pervert or anything like that, but it's like what he's doing is amateur, real amateur. Not that I condone perving at all. So, I mean, yeah, she is. I mean, the mum's coming off really weird because you see her in the shop and that, and she's like to the assistant, "It's like, don't say nothing, just ring it up." And she's got about 100 lights. I was like, because what I was thinking as well, like the little lights flickering. I mean, the penny kind of dropped for her, but I was thinking, why don't you link up the lights and then put different letters of the alphabet? But then I thought maybe this whole like clairvoyant thing don't work like that, and then she finally like started painting the letters. I was like, yeah, I had that idea like half hour ago. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I think that's a pretty decent idea. It's like a Ouija board but with lights.
Also, we had the other mother came over for a visit, right, with a kid,
Yeah,
and I think they teased the thing where maybe the monster will get the kid as well. Well, that didn't happen, but even that must make deal. Because I don't want to skip to the end, but we know what happens at the end, and we'll get to that later. But with that, does her being mental, seemingly, and the brother seeming like a real creep make them seem guilty?
what to other people?
Yeah.
I So you'd think like when they kind of had him with the camera, they think they would have brought it up. But I think they're kind of normally with kind of programs like this, you like they make like other people look like really guilty, and then it's like they explain it away. It's like, oh well, people think like, oh, what were you doing here? And then like literally they've got like a legitimate explanation, but they didn't want to drop it in that. But I don't think they've kind of done that with them. I think they're just making them like melt and that. But is that like,
Right, because in the last episode, the the guys were mentioning the more douchey out of the two teenage boys cracked the joke about, I bet he killed him.
yeah,
Right, about the brother, you know, when he's hanging up the picture.
yeah,
But now with what happens at the end, surely the show takes on a different slant when it comes to the kid, because this whole time they've been looking for a missing kid, and now they found that kid.
yeah, and it's like, is the circumstances of his death like an accident, or was it like, on purpose, you know what I mean? They could run with that. But one good thing I'd say is like when the kid was in the house with the flickering lights and like the mum was like, "Did you see anything?" and the little kid was like, "Yeah." Then at least you know that it's not like one of them like double bluff things where it's actually showing you these monsters and you're thinking, "Oh, she's crazy," and then it turns out like literally it's all a fragment of her imagination. At least you know now with the kids seeing it that it is legit.
Yeah.
Stuff's popping off and that. Um, the the 11 thing where she's leading them around and she leads them back to the house and that. I was sitting there like, I think it's like a limited vocabulary how she couldn't really explain herself. But I'm sitting there like, why don't you say something? They're all mouthing off at you and that. Why don't you just be like, "Is here?" Because it's like they keep dropping out. He's hiding, and it's like I don't really. Maybe that means something else.
Well, I mean,
It's like hiding's like out of sight, so it's like there, but you can't see him. I think that's what they're kind of
is it like what's that Bruce Willis movie with M Night Shyamalan and the
signs. No,
no, no,
sixth sense.
yes, is it like that? Is he dead?
See that's the big thing now. That's
Yeah,
the big thing now. Is he actually dead? But the fact that you see Barb at the start of the episode in this alternate dimension, that kind of raises questions, doesn't it? Because she's
yeah.
vanished now, but you know she's like there. So it's like I honestly, I I think. See what the problem is like that this whole like Department of Energy stuff, and now
Yeah.
that's all booky because they're up to something as well. Because he went to the place, looked at the CCTV camera, and he said like that night it was raining really heavy, and like but on the CCTV there's like no rain at all. So I think that's how she escaped, how little girl 11 escaped, and they've covered that up. But I mean, I think they've probably got something to do with it. I mean, because at the end of the episode, they dredge up a body. So, is that actually him? And if it's kind of not him, you know what I mean? Looks like him. Is that how do they do that?
I don't know. You see, I'm not sure it will be him.
I'm not sure it'll be him either. But I don't. I think they'll probably just put him like that. So it's like, oh, they found him. Now there's not going to be any more snooping about. So I think the only people who'd kind of do that would be this Department of Energy. But it's like, where do they get jurisdiction from? I think they're kind of hinting that they're like CIA, like posing as the Department of Energy, and really that building doesn't do anything. It's just like a CIA front because they mention like MK Ultra, which is like the mind control experiments the CIA were trying to do in like the 60s or whatever, like drugging people and seeing if they like could have psychic abilities or stuff like that, because that kind of got outed. So I think they're trying to hint at that, like all this like 11 stuff, all the experimentation is something to do with like failed CIA. So I'm guessing they're all CIA, because it's like, who do they think they are running around like killing people and stuff and covering stuff up? It's a bit like outlandish. So
It is, yeah. It's got to be some sort of governmental thing, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, it's done that. This episode has done that thing of answering some questions, but then posing even more.
yeah, just throw. Yeah, but I think it's kind of like everything's not as it seems, but in some things it is, because it answered like the mum's not actually crazy because the baby saw something happen in the wall as well, so you can rule that one out. So now you got to think, oh, it's like an outside conspiracy, like other people are like manipulating events now. But if like, because in the last episode they're going around with their little Geiger counters or whatever they were picking up, it's like, wouldn't they like have clocked like all this weird stuff going in like the mum's house and stuff like that?
I don't know.
That's what I mean. So I think there's some like convenient things there, but I don't really think, because the trail's kind of gone cold. I know the Department of Energy are like looking for 11, but they've kind of come up with nothing there, so they've give up on that. And then, so I think someone's got to kind of bring them into the fold more if it is a kind of big conspiracy. And what part do they play in it? Because you had, going back there, you had all that black stuff on the wall as well, like the smelly alien stuff, and then they put something on the floor. Remember, they kind of levered something down onto the floor, screwed it in, like a machine or something, like something was going to happen, and then it kind of flicked to something else, and it was never like brought up again. So I mean, there are like little flickers of things, but you can't really put them together. So it's mysterious. But as for his body being found at the end, I think that's just like a ruse so people are like no longer looking, because obviously you had the sheriff and stuff poking around like the facility, then you had them like blatantly covering it up, and now all of a sudden you have his body turn up in the bottom of the lake. So it seems kind of convenient.
Yeah, I don't think the kids are gonna respect it. I don't think the sheriff will either. Was
My
you know?
issue
Um,
is like this kid's gone missing, and
yeah,
like the kids are like cycling round in like the middle of the night or whatever. It's like pitch black, and like they're still letting their kids go out, and it's like they have no
yeah, but
idea what's going on. That
yeah,
annoys me. That
it
really
does. But
annoys me.
it's the mulligan you got to give it, isn't it? It's just kind of TV show it is. I mean, I suppose at least the one mum, is it Mike? I think Mike's mum
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
isn't quite so happy about it, especially with the daughter.
Yeah,
But I
but
guess,
I think she knows she's been porked.
yeah, I think that's fairly obvious.
Yeah, for
But I
me.
mean, you know the woman at the library with the sheriff.
Yeah.
Was that the same woman from episode 2 or a different woman?
I don't think so. See, the woman from episode 2, I would have got the impression that that was like his wife or something. And then you had kind of like this librarian woman. See, I liked her as well. She was kind of sassy. But I don't
Mm.
think she's like pointless really. She was just like there. But I think they're trying to make nods to his character. But I don't kind of know where they're going with it, because I think there's a lot of like mystery around him as well. And you've
Yeah,
got kind of other missing people. Because
right,
you,
'cause there's her, there's the librarian, and there's the mum, Winona Ryder as well. There seems to be some sort of history there, so maybe he just puts it about.
that's what I mean. So let's move on to. I think we've covered everything. I mean, the best character of the whole episode was the dog with his disapproving look.
Nah, that's my boy.
So let's talk numbers.
I'm gonna go with a 9. I think it was the best episode so far. I was into it. I even like that. You know, I love David Bowie, but he's been overused a bit now since his death. He's been forced and everything. But I think I really like the way Heroes is used at the end, and I wasn't bothered by the fact that there's a lot more questions than I had before. I mean, it's great. I can't wait for the next episode.
Okay, I'll give it an 8.5 because I'm waiting for something real special
I
for
think
it
it's coming.
to kind of put it over the edge in that. But it's solid so far. Good pacing. You know, answered like I think maybe things that need to be answered, because do you really want to be going for the whole season like wondering whether this woman's actually seeing things, whereas like I'd imagine them kids would bump into something. Like one annoying thing in that is that they literally picked up one rock. They're going to go up with their slingshot and they're looking for rocks, and they decide instead of taking a handful they're just going to pick up one rock. It's like I don't think they know who they're coming up against, mate, but it ain't no sissy thing.
I do need some things to speed on a bit. The sister and a relationship with the guy. I need that to get moving. I think you're right about the weird kid. They're going to be, if not hooking up, certainly meeting up soon.
I think they're kind of trying to like portray it as like a really close knit like community and that, and everyone knows each other, and it's kind of all like homely and stuff. So for all this like random stuff to start happening, it's a bit more like shocking and like out of the blue. But I don't really get the relationship unless one of them turns out to be like the monster
Yeah,
or an alien. is kind of. I think it's like meant to be like kind of like throwing in a bit like human emotion in there, but it's like I don't care if the hot girl's getting porked.
Yeah, I care more about the younger kids. I think they're more interesting. So I need a bit
Exactly.
more movement with that. But, you know, in the next episode is episode 4. That's the halfway point. So I think they do need to get chugging along a little bit. But at the minute, I'm all in. All in.
I too am all in. I will match your bet,
Yeah,
and I will see you all in the next episode. I'm Sam.
I'm at.